Jan Broberg, thank you. Thank you so much for being here. Boss Ladies on the road, Boss Ladies on the record. You are certainly a boss.
Well, thank you. I'm a boss lady too. Good, maybe I can get a chance to come on the road with you sometime.
Yes, absolutely.
I'll go to every city with my message, everywhere, any place.
And what is that message?
Oh, I just want people to start talking and knowing and understanding and raising awareness that, you know, we're not abused by scary strangers. It's somebody you know. It's someone close to you. It's someone you generally trust and already love, and you're not looking because you already trust them. You already love them. And it's usually someone in your family, your congregation, your community, your sports team, your school. And we just have to start talking and telling our stories and take the shame out. Take the shame away. It's not the survivor's fault. It certainly wasn't my parents' fault. It certainly isn't any of those people's fault. It was the perpetrator's fault. And that's the message, is that you don't need to shoulder guilt, shame, and blame. You need to tell your story and get on your healing path. And then we need to prevent and raise awareness about this.
Very well said. You have been on this road of advocacy for a few years now. When did this happen for somebody that hasn't seen A Friend of the Family, which is on Peacock, and the documentary film, which you helped produce as well a number of years before? Can you tell us about your journey? I guess we can start from like what ages.
Yeah,
and
kind of the stages through those.
Yeah.
Becoming the strong boss lady that I am today didn't happen overnight, for sure. But I was what I call one of the lucky ones. I had a perfect childhood, really, until I woke up strapped to that bed at 12 years old with that funny voice playing in my head. And so you lose a lot of ground when something like traumatic happens to you. But I had a foundation to go back to. I had parents who loved me, who always were there for me as a younger child. They would have stepped in front of a moving train for me or my sisters, Karen and Susan. I had great support, and they never defended themselves because they felt so bad for the mistakes that they made, and they felt like, why didn't we see it? Why didn't we know? So they blamed themselves to a degree that I now have tried to tell them both, you need to forgive yourselves. We all make mistakes. We're all humans. And when you have a master puppeteer that is leading you down to the road to hell so that they can blackmail you, that's different than just making a mistake. Absolutely. I have made some mistakes in my life that I'm not, shouting from the rooftops. I'm pretty sure most people have.
I'm pretty sure nobody is perfect, and
no one's ascended yet.
No.
From your trailer.
Not yet.
No, not yet.
No.
Okay, so we're all like in the human fight of it all.
We are. Yes,
and that's good to remember.
Yes, and there also is just one little vent up there, so it'll be an interesting image. But
have someone ascending through that vent. That
yes.
reminds me a little bit of the motorhome that I was in, but not so much. No, not so much. It's triggering, but just how I would look through the little vent, and it wasn't cute plastic blades like that. It's cute. This is a really cool trailer. This is very different than the scary terror chamber that I lived in those months and years of my childhood.
Ben first asked you, come to our trailer. I was like, Ben, do you know? Wait a minute, let's phrase that different.
And when you can make a joke of something, then you know that your healing is actually really on target. It comes up. I tell everybody, it's like this scratch on the record. I had this perfect music and this perfect record playing, and then somebody came along that took advantage of our trust, that took advantage of our love, and put this huge gnarly scratch on my record. And that was the abuse. That was the brainwashing. That was the worst thing that could have happened to me as a child, and that I believe happens to millions of other children around the globe. It may not be this crazy of a brainwashing scheme, but children don't tell because they are in fear, that somebody else in their family will get hurt, or they are groomed to believe that they're special, or they don't even know that this isn't normal, or there's some kind of reward system. So there are a lot of reasons why children are not going to tell. So we can't put the burden on them. We have to, as adults, start to first of all acknowledge and let these stories come forward. Whether we as adult boss ladies share our stories, which we all need to at least one person that believes us, doesn't blame us. That's so important. And then from that, we start to have words. We start to be able to know how we can actually find the healing path. That's something that's really important to me, that I don't leave people without hope. There is hope, but it's work. You have to find a way to move your needle past that scratch on your record over and over and over again. You have to lift it up. It's gotten stuck again. New stage of life, new something. Okay, I'm stuck. I'm having problems, and move it past the scratch. And so the scratch doesn't go away, but you can learn ways to make your life a happy, hopeful one. And for me, this is part of my healing journey, is to help others tell their stories. So I have a podcast show. Oh, I would like you, when you come through
Absolutely.
where I live, I want you to come on my show.
Absolutely.
That would be fun, the Jan Broberg show. That would be cool.
Absolutely. And you are playing your record
Yes.
again
Yes.
very successfully, and
In this new series on Peacock.
Great.
That's an amazing
tune in
piece.
wherever you find your podcasts.
Oh yeah, with my podcast I tell survivor stories, and I know for a fact that we've got to have some survivors here besides me.
Absolutely.
So you're going to come on my podcast and share your story.
Yes,
because
ma'am.
it's going to absolutely make a difference for someone in your life, or not in your life. Other people will relate to your story differently than they might relate to mine, and now they have words. Now they're not alone. Now they have a community. That's really what my podcast is meant to do. Plus, we're interviewing the actors on A Friend of the Family, and the producers, and some of the writers, and people behind the scenes. It's just been a really fun time to have all these special guests as well.
What a great cast and
Right?
production. So well done. So in the 70s, in a nutshell, can you explain to somebody that doesn't know anything about the series or your story in
Yes, really briefly.
an elevator,
An elevator pitch about my story. Yes, I sure can.
which is an interesting.
Yeah, it's an amazing story. And what happened was this family moved into our neighborhood just a block and a half away, and they had 5 children, and the oldest 3 boys were the same ages as me. I was the oldest, and my 2 younger sisters, Karen and Susan. And we met the family at church. So 5 children, a little baby girl, and the nicest mom and dad. And we, as the kids, started a friendship. And then very soon, within maybe a few months, we were invited over to their house, and we were going on boating trips, because they had a boat, they had a trampoline, they had snowmobiles. We didn't have any of that.
It's always good to have a friend with a boat, not
Yes.
own a boat yourself.
Yes, that's better.
Yeah.
That's what I hear. So that's how the friendship started. And for 2.5, almost 3 years, we had this awesome friendship where we loved and trusted and shared so much of our lives and our our homes. Our doors were open to each other, and it was lovely. And then I woke up after this man who was like, your favorite uncle, great friend of my dad's like best friend, next to his twin brother, who was his true best friend. And he picked me up from piano to take me horseback riding, because he had a furniture client out at this ranch that he needed to go visit, and I love horses, and so he was trying to give me riding lessons. And he's like, it's like having your brother pick up your child from something and take him to an event that you don't have time for, or you don't have the horse or whatever.
Exactly.
And he kidnapped me. He put me in the back of a motorhome, drugged me. First of all, gave me my allergy pill, because I'm allergic to horses, but it looked like my allergy pill, but it knocked me out. And I woke up in the back of a motorhome with a partition. I couldn't see who was driving. It was dark. And a funny voice was playing on this box. I call it the box. It's terrifying to me, the box. And it was like a high-pitched staccato alien-sounding voice, and it would repeat these words over and over again, that I was the female companion, I was to have a child, to save their dying planet, I was special, I was half alien, half human. And what's so interesting is people are like, how could you believe that story? I'm like, wait, it was the 70s, and he took us to all the science fiction movies. We watched Lost in Space on TV. We watched Star Trek. We watched Planet of the Apes. He always made sure that we were all watching things. He'd bring over news articles from the, black and white newspaper. We didn't have social media. We didn't have cell phones. We didn't have any of that. But he'd put the paper on the table, and it would have a little flying disc, like a flying saucer, a picture of that in black and white in the newspaper. And he wasn't showing it to me. I just happened to be sitting at the table doing my homework. He's showing it to my mom. And then he's using words like, do you think that this is the gathering of Israel? And you think the second coming of Christ is right around the corner? Because people are coming here from other planets and other worlds. Maybe that's what's happening. Like Armageddon is just around the corner. He would use language that was familiar enough from Sunday school so that as a kid, you're looking at that going, wow, that's neat, that's interesting. Not even gathering that any of this is grooming. It was all grooming. He groomed my mother, he groomed my father, he groomed me, he groomed my sisters, our entire congregation. Absolutely. Together and separately. As a family, we did hundreds of activities with them. They looked just like any other great family that you meet in your neighborhood.
Boom. And that's what it is. And that's what your message is to get out, is to pay attention to what your gut or
spidey senses might, something is maybe a little off, but then you dismiss it.
Right.
Because they are your neighbor.
Right.
They are a fellow church member. They are your, oh gosh, this person got Teacher of the Year last year. Why would I have a funny feeling? That's ridiculous. And you dismiss it instead of paying attention to it.
Right. So that's tricky in a world.
Very tricky. That's why there's so much of this kind of abuse.
Yes.
Because these manipulators and predators take advantage of our kindness, our trust, we were genuine. We loved this whole family. And that shocking experience that happened to me for the next 4 years, where I was kidnapped a second time, when we were found the first time in Mexico, and then he was convicted of 5 years in jail, but he only spent 15 days in jail because sentence suspended, and you know how it goes. And anyway, he took me again, and I was gone for, almost 6 weeks the second time.
In the Catholic school.
More than that, actually. I was gone for almost 3 months.
So
yeah. But all the time thinking I was being watched by aliens, and that I was supposed to have a baby to save a dying planet, which is the crazy, weird part of the story. But the common part of the story is that it's someone you know.